this for you. Thank you. One of these.
I know you need. You need
All
your
right, so I
business.
have the time as 6:31, so we will call the work session of the mayor and council for the city of Snellville, Georgia, Monday, April 25th, 2022 to order. First, we'll run through our regular business meeting. We have for the invocation, Dr. Quincy Brown
Yep.
from Snellville United Methodist. Pledge, do you know if anyone have any?
Steve, you gonna stick around for the meeting?
Oh, no.
Oh,
You could do the pledge.
no, he's not staying that long. There's no food involved.
Now,
There's
there's
no drink.
Let's have Todd do it.
Oh,
Great, Todd
yes.
can do
I
the
think I can
pledge.
remember the first
And then
word.
maybe your comments will be shorter because you've already spoken.
That's your 10 minutes right there.
Yeah.
Then we've got a proclamation for Arab American Heritage Month. Then we
Yeah, Dave had it.
approve the minutes, approve the agenda.
We have an invited guest, but I didn't get it on the agenda yet.
Okay, who's-
Thought today would be the day. SGHS PTSA, Miss Kelly Sheffield.
And she is?
She is a PTSA parent.
Okay.
Is she gonna speak?
Yes.
Okay.
Short, it will be short.
okay.
Just gonna talk about the intermediate.
Don't look at me.
beauty
Don't look
pageant.
at me.
The intermediate beauty pageant, she'll
Oh,
be
okay.
talking about. The Williamses are out of town, so.
Okay, so under new business, we have Resolution 2022-03 to allow for electronic or digital signatures. Anybody have any questions or concerns with that?
Something we probably should have had a long time ago.
As long as the
And,
city attorney's okay
Matt,
with it.
got
City
that
attorney is
organized.
okay with it.
He said, like, for ordinances and resolutions, we'll still hand sign those, but for contracts and other things like that, we
Okay.
can.
Daily business kind of.
There's actually a code section in the code that specifically speaks to it, so.
Then we have Resolution 2022-04. This is essentially just laying out what we're doing with the first tranche of our ARPA funds. And it's everything that we talked about.
Yeah, we're
before.
following the guidelines, under $10 million. We're just putting it in resolution form to cover all our bases.
As far as expenditures, final expenditures, we're still, are you saying we've already made all those decisions and that's all council input we're having at this point, or are we?
No, the only decision that would be made was, this is how we're
is
administratively
electing how we are?
addressing the, yeah.
Okay, got it.
Nothing on the dollars and where they go.
Okay.
I would say until the money's spent, we've got some time to
Just-
shuffle some things around.
Just wanted to be clear.
Yeah, and we're still waiting on estimates for those two sidewalks, which is kind of one of the high priority items, I think, and,
There's not specificity in it.
yeah. And then, Resolution 2022-05, going back to Gurma. You wanna talk about that a second?
We are. The traveler's bid was a little higher. It did not include cybercrime. Did not include coverage for cobblestone. And there were several deductibles that were a little different. And really, I guess those were all reasons. The main reason was we had, when it came to personnel and employment practices, under GERMA, we could call Ellerby Thompson, we had Sharon Morgan, we had people who worked with her, and we got advice on how to handle things that kept us out of courtroom and out of lawsuits. And these folks, until there was a lawsuit filed, you did not get specific direction. You got some basic information that really wasn't that helpful. So, and they were looking into, and the law firm, once we actually had a claim filed, they used a different law firm, Freeman Mathis and Gary, who are very good. But they were gonna look into Ellerby Thompson, and they did not make that change, and we just felt much more comfortable with Gurma. You know, we save a few bucks, and we return to
Get better
their
coverage.
fold. What's that?
Get better coverage.
Well, it is, and I know, you know, the PK and those folks probably are not real happy. But, I mean, in my career, I've been in the private sector as much as I've been with Gurma, and it just, Gurma is a pretty easy choice here.
And then we're surplusing some vehicles.
Right.
Okay, any other questions there? All right, so we'll head over to our, my baby video's playing again. A little distracting, I didn't turn that off.
Continuous loop.
Any correspondence?
No, ma'am.
Any city attorney's report?
Your city attorneys have been very busy. We had our every other month quality of life court on last Thursday, and we had two big ones we got put to bed. One is a lady that has had a continual breeding ground for mosquitoes in their swimming pool for the last year or two, and we actually made them install, after I threatened to fill it in with a backhoe of dirt, or a front end loader of dirt. She actually had a whole new liner, and it now fully operates to Officer Green's approval. And then we had another one that actually kept operating a diesel repair shop essentially there, and finally they had a illicit discharge of diesel fuel, and the EPA got involved, and I think we've pretty much fined them out of continuing to do that. Our two pending nuisance cases, 3190 Grand Central and 2468 Mountain
2468 Mountain View.
Mountain View, both have been cleaned up and are apparently in compliance, so we're gonna be prepared to close those. However, we have the three new ones that you all have approved that we'll be filing this week, so we'll get those started off.
Gotta keep you busy.
Yeah, we gotta keep those
Where
flowing.
was the diesel place?
I don't remember, no. It was, I've dealt with the lady, as Johnny said, she has sung sunshine to me, you know, too many times. So I didn't let her sing any more sunshine to me. So he was pleased with that one too. But we're gonna have a new one to put on the calendar. Evidently Dollar General just will not respond to Johnny, and so we'll put that on.
Dollar General or
Dollar General.
No, Dollar General, one at Rosebud and
Rosebud
78.
and 78.
Rosebud is 78,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
So we'll be putting that on the calendar for your all's consideration for a nuisance action next
Is
meeting.
that for trash around?
Johnny says that, yeah, I think they just don't keep it cleaned up, and then they wait for the shrubbery to cover it up in the summertime, and
What's with these
So-
dollar stores?
They only charge $1.
It's the reason they only.
Generally.
we also, our real estate team has been working with Butch and getting phase 2 almost to the finish line. They're getting pretty close on that, and we've been working with the planning department on several major endeavors. So we've been busy.
Okay. But no exec session tonight?
No executive session tonight.
All right, so now we're to discussion items, and we have our special guest, former mayor of Sugar Hill, Steve Edwards. And whoever you are with Waste Management.
Let me get the show
You
started
got the
here.
wrong shirt on there, pal.
I know, it's.
Steve knew that Rick Jarvis came
I
and
think he was feeling a
had a
little,
present, and he wanted equal
jealous.
time. We told him he could have some
Little
time, but
jealous.
not equal time.
That's
So we
right.
won't be here now.
Hey, they hold me to 10 minutes, buddy.
I won't be but 10 minutes, I promise.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. She's just gonna move it closer. So.
Oh, you're gonna show Barbara's baby video?
The baby Bo. Baby Bo. So really what I wanted to do is just have just a general discussion. How do I do slideshow? Here it is. Okay, here it is. I got you. So I want to do a couple different things. I want to give mayor and council an update on where we are as far as solid waste, of course, as Butch said, Rick Jarvis came in from Latham Home Sanitation. He is the residential arm of the contract, and I am the primary contractor that takes care of the commercial. We went through some pretty bumpy times, as Gay can attest to, with COVID, with the merger and the labor shortage, but I think we're back on track now. But what I really wanted to do is talk about just a mere suggestion moving forward, and I've been in local government for a long time, and I've been a garbage man for a long time, so this is just merely a suggestion. But back in the early 2000s, Brett Harrell made the decision to provide free garbage service to the residents. And at that point in time, and maybe Melissa can elaborate on it, most of his reasoning was the commercial was going to help subsidize the residential. Well, that was back 20 plus years ago, and things have changed dramatically in the world of solid waste. You had the labor issues, the pandemic, you have fuel going to $5 a gallon, you have inflation right now at an all-time 40-year high of 7-8%, and also factored in with that, just the sheer growth of the city has changed. You've got more residential units out there to pick up. If you ask me, the biggest change was when recycling market crashed. And that is when we went from getting rebates in the old days to now we're paying almost $80 a ton for recycling processing costs. So in reality, it is more expensive to process a ton of recyclables versus bury a ton of garbage. I think also, over the past 20 plus years, your commercial entities have changed. They have streamlined, they're smarter now, they're right-sized the service, and also over the past 20 years, the sheer cost of providing commercial solid waste services has gone up immensely. So I'll go to the next slide. Right now, all of the Gwinnett cities except for Beaufort and Grayson have a user fee for residential solid waste services, which is the way, in my opinion, putting on my old mayor hat, it should be done. User fees should help pay for that cost. Grayson is a different anomaly. I think Grayson's population is around 3,900 compared to your population of around 20 plus thousand. I think one of the reasons why Grayson did that is maybe to follow your lead back in the day, but they're also helping subsidize, I think they've got a liquor store, and from what I understand, that helps subsidize that residential burden. But again, their customer base is much smaller than yours. Beaufort is another example. I think they charge $2 a home, but the reason they subsidize their residential solid waste is because they've got a landfill, and host fees help pay for and offset those residential solid waste costs. $2 a home. For garbage only, yes, for garbage only.
But per week, month, what is it?
Per month.
Per month, okay.
And again, Grayson doesn't charge, but everybody else in Gwinnett does charge, especially Gwinnett County with their big contract. At this point, what I just kind of want to talk about are maybe some suggestions just to look into, just food for thought. What Lilburn did, Lilburn was in the same situation, but they realized this is not sustainable moving forward because of all those reasons I talked about earlier. So in 2000, they made some broad steps to reverse it. And what they did is they decided to put it on the tax bill incrementally, $5 a year at a time, until they caught up. And right now, they're caught up. When they did that, I was also the service representative for Lilburn. They had very little backlash. People understood user fees. They understand that they have to happen. Garbage service should not be free. But that's what happened in Lilburn, and that might be something that maybe staff can look at their model and how they did things.
Now that they're caught up, what are they charging a year?
I just gave them a pretty substantial increase, so I want to say around $17.50 a month. So, and Butch is retiring, but Jenny Simpkins can fill in the gaps and tell you what happened with the history. They also have commercial service as well, just like Lilburn, because that was their mindset too. Well, commercial is going to help subsidize, but that general fund was just taking such a good hit every year. Mm-hmm. They decided, let's put it more like an enterprise fund and balance itself like it should be done.
Lilburn's 1811.
1811.
18.
Thank you. Okay. What we're also seeing too is, of course, as you all know, we're all doing our tax bills now because of what happened.
Right.
So the timing, I think, couldn't be better to start that process. Again, just as a suggestion. Go to the next slide. And I'm not being as long-winded as you, Todd, so I should be doing
No,
okay. Last slide.
I would have been done already.
You have some options to consider in front of you. You could do nothing, leave it alone, and continue the same trend. You could stair-step the increase over time, put it on the tax rolls, or not put it on the tax rolls, whichever way you want to go. Again, timing is right to put it on the property tax. What you could do also is you could rip the Band-Aid off at one time and do it all at once. Put it on the tax rolls or off the tax rolls. You could also look at other ways to reduce costs, and there's other ways to do that. There's automation, there's tweaking your blue bag system, there's tweaking your yard waste system. There's also looking at options of recycling. I mean, right now, a lot of your recyclables are contaminated, and one idea might be, since you're one of the few lucky folks who do have a recycling center, is clean that recycling up and bring it to the recycling center source separated. That's just a suggestion. You might get some backlash from that, but I think as a city, you need to start looking at these options. You need to start considering them seriously, because having that general fund reimburse for people are paying for it anyway, regardless, any way you cut it. So I think user fees is suggested, and I'll stop at that point and ask Gay or Butch if I missed anything at all, and then I'll be on my way. So y'all can't throw anything at me. But I know you've got hard decisions in front of you every day. I'm just afraid this one day is going to catch up with whoever replaces you eventually. Gay, did I miss anything?
No, I think you pretty much covered everything. I mean, and what you've said is so true. And the recommendation, that we've talked about from our department has been, try to work something to where it's on your property tax, and since we're billing our own now, it would be an easy way to slide in, not slide in, so to speak, to hide it, but so that you could start working up to where it covered itself. We've talked about the option of letting residents that really want to recycle come in and pay a fee for that 65-gallon recycling cart. That the people that want to pay for recycling will be the ones that their containers are not going to be contaminated. They're serious enough to want to make sure that everything in there can be recycled. If you have them come in once a year, pay, something for the entire year, you're not gonna have the cost of billing. If they decide a new resident comes in and they'll have to start in July. That way it runs with the fiscal year. Your revenues will be seen and can be, offset by that. So, and we do have the recycling center, and most of the cities, around do not have a center like ours. I did a, kind of a survey to look at other cities in Gwinnett County. And we are, kind of out of the norm other than Grayson and Beaufort. I mean, we've got anywhere from $25 a month. You've got some that are more $19.50, $20, $18.25. Some of them are strictly the bag program, which I don't really recommend that, because the residents pay for the bags and then sit them out, and then you've got strode garbage if an animal gets in it because there's no can. Some of the lower rated rates, they have $25 a single pickup for a bulk item. So they're offsetting their cost by charging a lot for other items, or they're going to bi-weekly recycling service. There's all different plans out there, but usually they all have a way to offset, and like Steve said, even starting out low and working our way up would be good, but I honestly don't think, and people right now think that they pay a garbage bill. They honestly think that they call us and they say, well, it was on my bill, and we'll say, well, no.
Not sure what bill that was.
So,
But it can be.
To Gay's point, though, I do want to talk about where the industry's going. And because what we've experienced with the driver shortage, with COVID, with inflation, you are going to see costs go up and up and up each year, because I don't see this trend stopping. I really don't. And my job, unfortunately, is to go talk to these cities and tell them, hey, your rate's going to go up $11 a month, or your rate's going to go up $6 a month. If you want to go to RFPs, go ahead. Now is not the time to do it. But the bags are going away. I see that in every city, that all the garbage companies right now, they don't like two people in a truck. It's all going one truck with one person, automated side load service. That's where it's going. Because of safety, because of COVID protocol, you name it. It's just more efficient type of service. So I want to make that point as well.
So are you saying that some cities, you just put your stuff in a garbage bag and set it out at the curb?
Like a
you
blue
have
bag.
to buy
And
the ones
Duluth.
that are specific, like our blue bags, but that's all they use is blue bags.
Right.
Huh.
Snellville, you get a choice.
I can see that all the dogs getting.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
nice.
We'd have garbage all over the place.
Well, and then you have someone put out the white bags or the black bags, and they say, well, why didn't you pick up my trash?
Yeah,
So-
the bags are going away in most cities.
And
Yeah.
have we stopped giving out the 65-gallon recycle bins yet?
No, we're not, until I get directions to
We
say that.
changed the policy.
Yeah.
And I can tell you
That's in
that,
there.
I
just
thought
looking at
we
the
said-
budget this year, I went back, and I guess this is my 10th budget. The first budget had a subsidy of $380,000. Now, we're gonna be, I can't even make 875 fit.
Wow.
It's probably gonna be over 900. So that's,
Yeah,
a-
I mean,
That's a
I
big
remember
number.
it being around that 400,000 mark,
Yeah.
and it's been steadily going up every year. And
I mean,
it was
we were-
that year
So-
we went out to bid, and all of the bid prices came in a huge amount over what we had been paying and would have paid had we just given the previous company that increase.
And Steve will
It's
tell
kinda where we
you,
are.
the next time we go out to bid,
It's not
everybody's
gonna be
gonna be in
pretty.
shock
Oh,
around
yeah.
this table.
Well,
Yeah.
and I understand that our garbage prices are gonna continue to go up. But when we bill it separate, if somebody doesn't pay it, we have no legal recourse other than to sue them for it. We can't lien their property for it. Even if it's on a tax bill, you're gonna get thrown out of court if you try to enforce a non-tax on a bill, which is one reason why it's underneath our tax. Also, I can write off 100% of my property tax, which includes garbage at this point. I can't write off my garbage pickup.
Yeah, but that's pretty much a moot point right now with the tax laws where we are.
How so?
Most people don't itemize anymore, and those that can, you're capped at $10,000 of state and local taxes, so you wind up not getting to write off your full amount of
Oh,
tax
wow.
anyway. Yeah.
I've
I
never
guess
seen
I'm
anybody put a lien
one
on
of
a
the
house
few.
for garbage services.
No, exactly.
Well,
Right.
and
Just don't have it.
I mean, now that we're billing, we didn't have a mechanism before, to bill out for residential without having to stand up a billing system. Now that we do, I think it is something we could consider, because my preference would be that we put the user fee on the bill at a low amount, just to help cover some of that increase that we're having. Because then we have to use it for that trash subsidy. The other option is to do a millage increase. That's going into the general fund, and it doesn't ensure for anyone, where that money goes. Whatever, if we did a millage increase, it's a general fund collection. If we're putting it on as a trash fee, garbage
It'd be a
collection,
user fee,
it'll
just
be a
like the
user fee,
stormwater charge.
and it's going to the user. I think that ensures, future councils that this is where that money's going. I don't know, I think we need to talk about it. We'll be talking about stuff in the budget, so,
I think people will understand now with the
think-
cost of
think-
fuel, the inflation. I think if
Yep.
we have to explain it that way, you know, I think they're, you know,
That-
another additional cost we have to pay.
That is 100% correct. People understand it now. And I really don't think you're
They
gonna see
might
a
not
whole
have
lot of
understood
backlash.
it.
and
Now,
I think
A
we
year or two
continue
ago.
to work on ways to modify and improve our recycling program and trying to push more people to take things to the recycling center. And I think we need to stop doing the big 65 gallons unless people wanna pay the extra cost for that. And really do some better education on what goes in those recycling bins so that some of our costs will go down.
I've educated my father and my daughter over and over. They're both college educated, very intelligent people, and they still put stuff that can't be recycled. It's plastic. It looks just like a water bottle. So we're gonna continue to have that problem. I went by recycling last week and there were Quick Trip cups in the.
styrofoam, yeah.
In the water, no, the
Plastic ones.
plastic ones that aren't recyclable with the water bottles. Even the people who think, oh, I'm doing the right thing, I'm taking it to the recycling center,
And a lot of people think that if we pick it up curbside, we accept it at the recycling center. At the recycling center, we only accept 1 and 2 plastics. And so at the curb, there's a more options, so to speak, of what you can put in that's plastic, the buttercups, that type thing, whereas you can at the recycling center, so they get confused.
Well, again, and that's not gonna be anything that's gonna be 100% ever. It's gonna be a matter of just getting things cleaned up as much as we possibly can educate people.
Because the problem is, they see the little recycling sign.
Right.
And some of the stuff isn't
That's right.
recyclable.
Yep.
Even though
Well,
it's got.
some of them don't have numbers, they just have little
Yeah,
recycling.
or the number's so small you can't read them.
That's my
that's
problem,
me
reading
too,
them.
yeah.
But I would rather do away with curbside recycling, because that would be about $500,000 of our expense at this point.
No.
No.
Not that much.
Okay. It'd
Half
be
of that.
Half of that, okay, so $250,000.
I think that's we should poll people on that one. I think
I
there'll be
think
a
there'd be more
huge
of a backlash. I think
on
there'll
that
be
one.
less of a backlash if you charge versus
Well,
taking recycling away is something.
if you're talking about, we'll go with the $18.11 a month, you're saying other, Milburn, I think, is charging
Yeah.
at this point. That would be 50% increase in my expense as far as what I would consider my property tax on my property that I'm living in right now.
Right.
So a 50% tax increase, that's the way I'm gonna look at it, because I'm gonna have to write a check for 50% more.
But your general fund, I mean, you're being taxed for it now.
Our
in
general
reality.
fund has, how much of our yearly budget do we have in
Reserves?
reserves?
Well, we do have a lot of money in reserve. A lot
Got a
of that's
good
gonna
fund
get spent
Yeah.
on town center.
But after the reassessments come out from the county, I got mine today.
Oh, we got
It will-
ours.
It will be much less than that percentage, that's for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, again, we're not making that decision tonight, but this is all food for thought. We're heading into budget season. So these are things we need to weigh out. Talk to your people, talk to your groups, and get some opinions on where they would rather see things go. And we're not at an either or
Right.
situation either. We can do a, collection of things.
Kind of a cafeteria plan.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got options recycling wise. Steve put some up here. We know what our curbside household options would be, and you pick and choose. But as a staff person and somebody responsible for the budget, I think it's the only responsible thing to do is to really look hard at it and see where we can offset some of these costs.
And I totally understand that, but I also know that people have no way of opting out of it. We have to have 100% compliance and participation as it is. And the only way that I know of to get that is to put it in the property tax.
Millage.
And we don't want to get into a situation where people can opt out. We have enough problem with garbage dumping and.
Agreed. You want it mandatory for everybody.
But you need to, a millage too hits all the commercial people as well, and they're already paying for garbage for their commercial pickup.
Best point I heard tonight. Thank you.
I think too, just one more, I don't want to be like Rick Jarvis or, okay, one more point.
Oh, come on.
You
Be
went
just
longer
like
than
him.
10 minutes already.
Steve, I wouldn't want to be like him either.
What Butch said, really kind of hit home with me. There are user fees. Stormwater, water and sewer, garbage is a user fee. No matter what, any way you cut it, and I just think moving forward, I think y'all need to consider it. That's all.
People don't have a problem with paying their water bill or
Right.
their.
Right. And maybe it was a good decision back then, but things have changed so much in the past 20+ years, where it's just not sustainable.
And I don't think people would mind either.
I
And we
don't.
talk to people every day. So I don't think it would be a big fight back from our residents.
And if you want to do some town hall meetings, I'll be glad to come and talk to them.
Yep. I think just kind of laying out where we are in the garbage industry, where the industry is right now, and where we are on our city budget, and get opinions.
Yeah, the only problem is people go, oh, I'll recycle more, so they'll put more of their garbage in the recycling, thinking they're helping us.
Yep.
We need to do a lot of education about that, really.
Yeah. That's
We
a
do, but I
constant.
think if you go out and solicit, it's better accepted, regardless of what it is. It wasn't something that just, oh, here you go.
Showed up.
This is what you're gonna have to pay. If you go out and, you said, have a couple of town hall meetings and solicit information from them, and at least people have participated as opposed to just having something dropped on them. I think that works a whole lot better.
Town hall meeting might be a good idea.
Well, congratulations on the Grove.
Well, thank you.
Good. See y'all. I'm gonna go
You'll
eat
have to
dinner.
come back
More
and
garbage.
there's food
More
and
garbage.
beverage that we can
Yeah.
ply you
yeah.
with over there.
That'll work. See y'all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then we get a reduced rate, right?
Yeah.
What?
I don't think he can drink, he can drink, but he can't drink that much.
Right. See y'all.
Bye, Steve, thank you. Okay, update of ongoing projects.
Let's see, I think you have a list that I need to expound upon in front of you. On the town center, the upcoming punch list reviews are this Thursday at 2:30. Will be the mechanical and the electrical and the plumbing. And anybody if you want to meet, we usually meet at the corner of I guess the northwest corner of the deck, and we can walk through. We had a pretty good crowd last time. And then the next one, May the 3rd at 2:30, will be the elevator tower and the stairs. So it's really taking shape. Things look really good. As far as the deck is concerned, we did have a little issue with the fire marshal as far as what was listed in the plans, and Brian Miller and CPL are correcting that. So we should get fire marshal approval in the next week or so. The first apartments, they're moving so fast, the first apartments will be ready for lease in the fall of '22. So, and we also anybody who wants to, we can take you through and see Building 1000. You can see, not completely done, of course, but the granite's in, not a lot of lighting fixtures, some appliances, but you can get a feel for what the apartments are gonna be, with the 1, the 2, and not a lot of 3 bedrooms. But you get a feel for the size and the lighting, the natural lighting that comes in a lot of neat units there. And the balconies are very nice. And just the shape of the building lends itself to different shaped apartments and different shaped balconies. So it's gonna be a lot of choice there for people who are interested in, Lord knows, we've had a lot of calls. And we feel like the market will be ready to bid next week. And it'll be 30 days to get bids in, and then those will come back to the mayor and council for your review. We're working with Ramon at Thrive. Chuck has corresponded with him, his attorney. They're still reviewing mostly a lighting situation that, I apologize for not being on the trip with you guys to go see some of his other spaces. But he wants and prefers to have hanging single light bulbs. I don't know if it's a millennial thing, I don't know if it's an aesthetic thing, but Heather Hubble there's a problem with meeting the lighting code with single hanging light bulbs. There would have to be 800 of them in that space. It's crazy. So Heather has come up with, basically gone back to what our original option was, with nice LED fixtures in the offices, in the hallway. And that's kind of one of those things where we're having to put our foot down with Ramon. We can't do everything that he wants. And so we've almost worked through that, I'll put it that way. And at that point in time, when Ramon signs, Chuck put a per square footage cost in the lease. We also heard, Matt, did Reinhardt call, or Raj? Because they're still interested, and that'll be a good time to reopen that conversation there, to come up with that number they are interested. They want to know, what would the mayor and council be comfortable with as far as a per month cost for their space? So we can kind of, we need to pick up that conversation. So that's kind of where we stand there. Sanitation and recycling, Steve wanted to have his say as far as waste management was concerned. I think Gay would agree that they've worked through a lot of the problems. And communication really has never been the problem. It's just they have some issues, and we didn't necessarily agree that they couldn't solve those issues in a certain way, but I think they're well on their way now. So sidewalk improvements, Larry is still waiting on some survey work to come up with that cost estimate. I have departmental capital requests. We're doing 5-year numbers, so you can plug that into the formula of how you want to use the ARPA, how you want to use other potential funds. So hopefully Larry should have something back to us in the next couple weeks on that. Neighborhood beautification, Visionscapes has started their contract with us. I think so far they've done a fine job. And will flowers go in this week or next week?
It'll be the first or the second week of May. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
So
Good.
we'll get everything out, put everything in before we have the first food truck.
Good deal. ARPA funds, as I said, we're still waiting on Larry, and there's one outstanding department still to provide their numbers, and then we can look at all of those in total. Briscoe Park, the city team met with Oscar Herrera with Croft. We have returned comments to the original concept drawing, and he's incorporating those. So that is continuing on. Matt, I think there was a discussion as to where we might be able to build it faster if we went with CMU as opposed to the metal building. they thought that maybe the prices would be roughly equal. We found out that was not true. So we're gonna stick with the metal building. It might take another 30 or 60 days longer to get the materials, but it was potentially a 45% increase to go with the CMU. It just did not make financial sense there. Zoning category review, we have our meeting Wednesday at 6 o'clock. There will be food for everybody. Everybody is looking forward to that discussion and guidance from the council. Package sales referendum, I know you guys are working on that ordinance. And, economic development takes a lot of forms. Matt and Brian have been working with the high schools. The city Shark Tank will take place. Do we have a date?
May 5th.
And a lot of interest from the schools there. The badge program's still under review. I had a good conversation with Melvin. He's interested in continuing to push that. And the artwork, I don't know if y'all have had a chance to see the artwork. Joel Sturdivant is really an interesting local artist. There's an open house Saturday at 2 o'clock for Joel here. He'd love it if you could come out and support him there. And I will get you budget information later this week for you to review, and we'll be setting up our small group meetings next week. Barbara leaves town on May the 11th. We'll do it before that, and so we can get your input on everything budget-wise. But that's kind of where we stand right now.
Okay. Any questions?
Was there any discussion with Kirk about the name the Tomlin?
I know
Kirk
Barbara's had
called
that.
me
Okay.
last Tuesday, thankfully right after I got out of tax season, and talked with me and apologized, first of all. He wanted to let me know that it was no intention of not, they didn't mean to name something and not run it by us, and consider it. It was one of those things. They understand that we're all in this together and we're partners. It was just an oversight on their part to not let us know what they were thinking before they made their final decision. So he apologizes for.
So what's he changing the name to?
Well, I don't know, he was gonna talk with them. I think they're too late in all of their marketing process at this point to make a change. But I would, if y'all have big issues, then give him a call and talk to him.
I have an issue because the marketing that they're sending out is inaccurate. It talks about Snellville Days and some other things. Are they not interfacing with city staff anymore? Are we not working as partners, or are they just doing what they want?
No, I mean, Brian, you talked to creative.
Yeah, I talked to those guys, but I mean, as far as what they're doing, I mean, it's not like there's a back and forth when they send out a new piece.
I mean, they're pretty independent.
Yeah, I certainly don't get it, or.
It just seems
Well,
strange.
I
not
say we go
seen-
ahead and announce the name of the apartments as whatever we want, and we'll just see how it pans out. I have issue.
I'm
and I'll be happy
I'm
to
not
call
happy
Kirk.
with the Tomlin, to be perfectly honest.
Is anybody?
No, I ran it by SYC.
The guy who owns Tommy's Car Wash is.
I'm sure he
Yeah.
is.
They didn't get it at all.
Well, there's no connection, absolutely no connection.
Well, I don't see where there's a connection to necessarily the historical perspective. It'll be the Tomlin at the Grove. I think in the end, it's just gonna be the name of something and everybody's gonna be calling it the Grove Apartments anyway.
Right.
So I just think it's something that down the road, it looks really big right now, but down the road, it's not really gonna have much of an influence on anything.
You're
But,
probably right.
So,
What would you name it?
Anything but Tomlin or the Lily.
that's no good, Ty.
or-
That's not an answer.
Christie had a
It's
good one.
on
She
Oak
said-
Road,
She said the
so-
oaks at the grove.
The oaks at the grove, I mean,
Or
the arbors, I mean,
The
any,
Enclave on North,
North at the Grove.
some connection to the road and
The grove.
the tree.
Well, wisteria,
Aspect.
you can use wisteria.
yeah, I mean, there are 1,000 things that I can come up with that are probably a
That would
little
be
more.
understandably,
Well, I would
Fitting.
encourage you that are those that are deeply dissatisfied is to call and have a conversation with Kirk. But again, I don't know, he was gonna check, but I don't know that I think they've probably got too far into their marketing materials at this point.
They called it the
Seems like it'd be
Claremont,
easy
it
to
would sell a
change
lot more.
just a name in their marketing materials.
Well, again, I'm not a marketing person, so I don't know where they are, but,
Okay.
so I would give him a call. What else? What else can I dissatisfy you all about?
When we had our work session, especially called work session a few weeks ago, and Kelly brought in the guy from sports, whatever, I thought at that time we said, go ahead. Kelly doesn't have the feeling that, or no, y'all wanted to see the report first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see a sample of a strategic plan. That wasn't a make or break.
No, I did send it, did you? I
Yeah,
sent
we got
an
it.
email.
Well, I might not have looked at it yet, but.
Okay,
But that wasn't a make or break. I mean, I was fine with you moving ahead with it.
just because eventually we will want to use that information to make decisions on what we're gonna do with the third phase of the park. I would like for her to go ahead and release that guy to get started, so we have the information before we have to make decisions for a change. So, or so we can make sure that our decisions are as well informed as possible. Because
I mean, how long was the planning process before he would have a report ready? Do you remember that?
I mean, I think it.
Couple of months?
Couple months, yeah. Yeah. Cause he's gotta come in and talk to all the
Yeah,
stakeholders.
yeah,
the interviews.
Yeah, I mean, those are usually 3 to 5
But
months
I
or
think,
so.
you know, but I think he would be ready to go soon.
Are you waiting on?
Yeah, I
an
was just
from us,
kind of
or-
waiting on y'all to just give that commitment of support. And that's why I generated the email I did. So we kind of knew where we stood, if it was, you know, if we were all on the same page. And I kind of wrote in there, I know David had a question about administratively, and I kind of addressed that in that email as well. How my thoughts were as far as that went. As far as the park, I think Butch, Matt, Lisa, myself, you know, we can work together on things there. Anything outside, pulling in different assets from the city, that would be something that I'd work on logistically.
Mhm. Okay. Anybody just nod? Everybody good?
Okay.
And the other thing we received an email about, again, from Miss McAllen, was the alcohol permits. Chuck, is there, what's legally, she's asking, instead of having a permit for each individual event, to get a blanket one for the known events that STAT is planning. Is there,
Just an annual.
do we have any
An
issues
annual
with that?
license for
Because
STAT.
I don't want to get us in a situation where we have somebody coming in later and saying, well, but that's not what you hold your DMO to. But the DMO is actually,
But that's a separate contract.
right, a de
Yeah.
facto part of,
I mean, Butch and I
City.
didn't see any kind of issue with it.
I don't see why there'd be any problem with it.
and then along that, why are we taking money out of one pocket to put it in another pocket?
In what regard?
As far as why are we charging ourselves the fee? Why are we not just waiving it, or just if it's $500 or $350 or whatever? I mean,
kind of gets back to what we were saying earlier. We try to
track.
charge everybody the same across the board,
Okay,
so.
You just made that argument a few minutes ago when you said,
yeah,
But our $250 flat fee is what you're asking for. Yeah,
Just, yeah, an
Yeah.
annual thing, regardless of how many we do.
yeah.
I don't see a problem with that.
do we have to have a resolution or action by council, or?
I don't think we'd have, I mean, it's on our schedule, it's just our schedule, so we can just incorporate it into the contract.
maybe the first permit you come in to get, we just do them all for this year, and then we incorporate it into
Yeah,
the
we just write
contract
it
for
into the
next year.
contract every year.
Yeah. So.
So that you're covered for this year, and
So
then,
tomorrow afternoon, if I can do that, just because they have to apply, Lincolnville has to apply with the state, and it takes a minute.
Yeah, Lincolnville.
Okay, thank you.
all right? What else?
The other thing that came up in an email today was about the flock cameras at, In-Town Suites.
What's
Do
this,
we know?
what's this work thing that I have and I don't, is that today? This is all today, okay? I'm sitting here like,
I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah,
You know, that connection there. And turns out we do have a flock camera at In Town, it's just not positioned properly.
Well, it's positioned the way the company wanted it. So it captures everybody that comes into the property, once they start going to the front of the building. But if they go to the back of the building, it probably would not capture them.
would it be possible for us to get flocks at, if they're amenable to, no, I guess the issue was at Hampton Inn, they have 4 different entrances, so there's not a lot you can do there, right?
There still could be covers put up around the business a little bit more. But we try to put one up at every entrance.
Yeah, I mean, that's
That'd be
cost
20,
for
yeah,
it.
that'd be.
$10 grand.
$10,000 a year.
Yeah,
For one business.
yeah. No, exactly. I'm just trying to think through why, because I know we had that discussion previously.
can we not talk about this today? Because some of us haven't had a chance to look at all the emails from the day. I don't know what you guys are even referring to.
Well, I was referring to the fact that apparently we were gonna lose this camera because of the Explore Gwinnett contract.
No, they weren't paying for it either.
That was a camera that In-Town Suites has
Right,
as part of our
right.
ordinance. It's not part of Explore
Okay,
Gwinnett.
well, I was confused by that then.
Okay, and we're at 7:24, and we don't need an exec session, so is there a motion
Motion
to adjourn the
to
works?
adjourn.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Third.
All in favor? Okay, we'll see y'all in there. Look,
How many